Hey, welcome to the Death of a Dream podcast. You know, it's this wonderful, magical place where we can gather together as if we're sitting across from one another and just have a deep conversation about, things, life, how amazing we are, how we are built to change the world, and how we are planning on doing that. So I am so grateful that you're here every single day, every other day, once a week, never, once, never again, however you got here. I always start with the intention with this podcast that I will be given the words that find ears ready to receive. So if you're hearing this, it's kind of meant for you. It's not really for anyone who isn't ready for it. And if you're here and you're not ready, you might be here for the wrong reasons. Just saying, I love you. But that's kind of how the world works. Okay, are you ready? Let's go ahead and ground ourselves in our greatness. This one's kind of funny because, yesterday I had come on here and I had said, geesh, my yoga workout was not very hard and I don't know why. And I was really challenged by that because, I don't know, college athlete, body meant to push to new limits. And I didn't quite understand. And what I've been working on, putting intentionality behind, is just trusting that the world is going to give me what I need when I need it. And since we're in that moment, right, I didn't question it. Oh, I was just meant to take a break. I was just meant to breathe. I needed that. Thank you, being thankful for that practice instead of hateful, like, oh, now I got to work out later. Now I got to figure something out. No, I understand. There's some reason why I'm supposed to be here. And I would realize that reason shortly after completing my yoga practice, coming upstairs, podcasting, producing, and unleashing all of the elements that go along with this. I should stumble outside and find every inch of the ground covered in inches beyond inches of snow. This was a rather light snow, but I will say no snow is light when there are many inches. And so I take it upon myself to go and clear the snow out of the driveways, both of them. We share a driveway with our neighbors, our rental house neighbors. And so generally, I haven't always done this. I will say that the conversation used to be much different. And one day I had an awakening and I can't look at it the same anymore. So we used to kind of sit outside and go, gosh, why don't the neighbors clear their own driveway? Why don't they do that? What the heck? Why would they just let the snow pile up and pile up and pile up? Why don't they do that? And one morning I woke up and just had this radiating love shooting out of my heart. I swear I woke up and I was the Grinch. And in fact, my heart did grow 3 sizes that day. And it was a snow day and I went outside and I'm clearing our own driveway and I'm clearing it for my husband so that he doesn't get stressed out because the snow is going to be packed on to the driveway. And then what are we going to do? Because when it gets packed on, then that creates ice and he's the reason that it happened. And so, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Right? And I know that stress weighs really heavy on him. And so I wake up that morning with my heart being so much larger in size and I am consumed with energy and love for my husband, for the neighbors, for everyone who walks this beautiful earth. I don't want you to experience stress and I don't want you to experience pain. And what do I need to do? And so I'm just called with energy to get this driveway cleared for the good of all. And so I clear this driveway. And as I get our side cleared. And as I'm sitting there contemplating, right, what would have been a long contemplation no longer was. There was no question, right? And then I begin clearing the driveway. And then it becomes really clear to me that how painful, right? Like, you as a renter are essentially putting your trust in someone who you believe is better off than you, right? And so in doing that, you're essentially paying someone to take care of you. And, like what trust you have to put in the world to even be in that place, right? To go ahead and lend your confidence in someone else to provide for what is a human right, like a top need, shelter. What a huge responsibility to hand someone. And then, think about it. You don't have enough confidence to purchase your own house or whatever's going on, right? Maybe you're rebuilding, maybe you're hanging out. Like, you have to put your trust in someone else. And then they don't do the things that they promised you they were going to do, right? And here's someone so vulnerably extending want for you to be that person to help them through this low place or to help them through this moment. And you don't even do that. You act as if they owe you something, right? And they do. They owe you rent. And you act like that's the only exchange, wherein it should be both ways, right? They're also taking care of you as a renter. And so we have to continue to make that exchange. And so as I'm clearing this driveway, I'm just overwhelmed with compassion for these people, because I don't know what the deal is, right? Why it's not getting cleared. And I don't care at this point. The only thing I care about is that you're taken care of, that someone is helping you through this, whatever the reason is, right? Maybe you wake up at 3 a.m. and go to work, and who's about to shovel at 3 a.m. before they go? No one. And no one should have to. And no one should have to come home and jump out of their car into a large pile of snow after working a full shift of work. I don't know, but I'm not here for it, and I'm not going to continue to see it happen. And this is a completely different shift, because I, for a long time, just sat in anger for why wouldn't you do this? This is what humans do. This is what adults do. Clear it. And then I just realized, I don't know. I don't know this situation. I don't know what's going on. The only thing I can do is help for people to see that there are good people in the world who will take care of you if you're down on your luck or if you're up on your luck. Shouldn't we all be helping each other through these seasons? And if you're up on your luck enough that you can buy a property for people to pay you and increase your wealth and luck, then make sure that you're giving back. It's not all take, right? You shouldn't just be collecting a rent check. You should be taking care of the people who have entrusted one of the most important basic human needs. You shouldn't just be collecting rent checks. No, good people. And even if you're in that space, right? What happened to even work you into that space where you think the world is so scarce and that people are just going to take advantage of you and screw you in this rental house, and maybe that's going to happen, but it probably wouldn't, right? If we didn't already put that into motion. And that's the power of your thoughts, and that is the power of your mind. Right? I don't know. That's a way deeper thought process, but think about it. All of these systems are put in place to take care of people, and yet we still have systems in place that allow for people to develop distrust in the very systems that we have developed, because then people start taking advantage. And then we just start expecting. And then the world goes around and I don't know everything. And this is just my thought as I'm shoveling snow. But my great thing really was in trusting that my workout was enough. And then guess what? Good freaking thing my yoga workout was not very intense, because I shoveled for probably 2 hours straight. And my body this morning was just craving, like sinking into some really deep poses and working through my muscles because it was necessary. Anyways, just keep trusting. You don't even have to question it at this point. Yesterday it was really hard to not question it, and I questioned it, and then I called myself back. You heard that happen. Hey, it's okay. Like, maybe today we needed to breathe. And then, looking back, as I look to connect the dots, it makes perfect sense. Why? And so we all are walking into a space where we don't question it anymore, and it's not going to be natural. Yesterday, the conversation was very much like an open conversation about not really trusting that was going to be okay, that was going to be enough. And then we talk ourselves back into trust and we move forward. And we sip, like one of my favorite TikTok stars. TikTok is just so life-giving, I'm telling you. Okay. That's my great thing. Go ahead, take time, recognize yourself for your great thing. And for goodness sake, if you need to laugh, if you need to take a minute and just lighten up, do that. There's a reason that your body is needing that and asking you for that. And yes, you can trust yourself enough to love yourself back to whatever miserable task you're anxious about. You can trust the break. I know, that's really hard, right? We're told to do the opposite for most of our lives. No. Just stay according to the schedule. No. Study for 10 hours. That's what needs to happen. I'm going to go ahead and push you in the opposite direction. C. And I apologize if you've been withholding love and light and happiness. You may need to spend a longer amount of time in that space. But your body really knows what it needs. It really does. And if we give it that space, it will need less and less, and you will be able to do more and more and more in shorter amounts of time. So let's all just start trying to trust that our body knows what's best. Our mind knows what's best, and it's not misleading us. It is not leading us into this lazy, crazy place where we will never get off of Netflix or the couch. It is only leading us to what we need, and we need to listen. Period. Okay, let's dive in today. So yesterday, as I was kind of typing up what I was going to put out into the world regarding the episode, I start realizing that I'm I'm hinting on privilege. And by hinting, I mean I'm absolutely going down that road. And I think this is such a touchy subject because, the world. And here's the thing. I am saying there is absolutely privilege. Absolutely. And I am also saying privilege gets us to a certain point, and we will experience a season of struggle that someone who isn't privileged won't. The season of struggle looks different. It just hits different. It absolutely does. So I wanted to expand on that today because here's the deal. The world is absolutely stacked for and against you. And as you begin to explore, right, if you have this rapid pace of development and success, this is what I can probably promise you. At some point, you're going to be challenged and you're not going to understand how to process that because you never have before. And so that's going to be the struggle that hits later in life. And those people are going to have sort of a decline or a fallout, and they may or may not recover from that. Right? And so another person who isn't privileged, who has had to build it from the bottom, they're going to take their hits early on. And the wonderful thing about that is they're going to develop this perseverance that is like transcending of all issues, right? And they're going to see what it looks like to overcome things, and they're going to see what it looks like to fail, and they are not going to have a fast path to success. However, the moment that they hit, they have done so much work up to this point that they are able to elevate quicker and probably surpass the person who started at the same exact point and was successful early on, right? And is now experiencing this struggle moment. They're probably going to fly past them. The slingshot theory, right? And so this is why it's essential that no matter where you are, no matter how privileged you are, no matter how unprivileged you are, no matter how just fine you are, like privileged but kind of not, the most important step is just the step forward, right? And some of us are going to run as fast as we can, right? And we're going to escalate quickly and furiously. And then, we've already seen success, those of us who are privileged. And so we're going to probably escalate even higher, right? And it's all going to happen so fast. And people who aren't privileged are going to look and go, well, yeah, you had money and you had all of these things. And so no wonder. And you had like a record of success that built you to that moment. And you're not wrong. You're absolutely right. They had all of those things and they took advantage of them and they found a way to win. And they will be tested again. Do not kid yourself. The struggle is just going to look different. The struggle is probably going to come on the back end. And they're probably going to have to work even harder, put in even more money to figure out what to do in that struggle moment. Right? Whereas someone coming from that different struggle background who had all of those trials and tribulations to get to this point just starts climbing and maybe never comes back down because they've seen what it looks like to build with no one. They've seen what it looks like to completely fail, hit rock bottom, ask and ask and ask and ask and have no yeses at all. And so while the decks are just stacked differently, the struggle also hits different. And this happens. And some people, you aren't going to see the fall. And some people, you're going to see the fall and you're going to see them hit every rock on the way down. And this really is what this platform is about. This is what I began to realize. You know what? If I had had access to all these other things that I didn't have access to growing up, I probably would be in a better place. But since that isn't a story that I can write, and believe me, I had access to things that other people definitely did not. But since that isn't a story I can write, I am going to write the one that is true to me. And that's of being in this place where I'm privileged enough, right, that I shouldn't be bitching about it, for goodness sakes, but not so privileged that I could go ahead and throw $50,000 into growing a business, right? And so that's where I wanted to start. And that absolutely is exactly what I'm focused on growing. I want to show people for free, right? So that people who look like me or people who look even less privileged than me can have access to this if they want it, right? There's a reason that I have never charged for any of this, right? And what a crazy business model. You are going to build a business off of a free service. Yeah, because that's not what this is about. This is about the journey. This is about the understanding of how you get there. And I think when I started all of this, I really thought that I was like the gift. I'm not even actually sure that I didn't think that I was the gift even 2 months ago. Like, come on. And now I'm realizing, right, you can't connect the dots until you're looking back, that this wasn't meant to be that. That this is just a story of how you possibly get there, and a reaching out of going, you know what? I am privileged. And so what am I going to be bitching about? Nothing. I have been handed all of the gold spoons. And if I'm not standing here and doing something with the gifts that I've been given, with the privilege that I've been given, then shame on me. And because I want better, I want to offer something that didn't exist for me when I was in that place. And I want to create a world where there aren't barriers, where it isn't limited to what you can invest. If you want to go start a podcast, if you want to just start figuring yourself out, I want to find the free things that make that possible. And so that's what I did. And everything that I've uncovered from here has been completely free or very, very, very low cost. And why? Why that commitment? Why that commitment to figuring out how to build a business for free? Why that commitment to figuring out how to do a podcast for free? Why that commitment? Not only so I can continue to offer it for free, right? But also so I can show you how possible any dream you have is. And how banking on yourself and the beauty of who you are and being willing to just struggle and build and not know and allow the dots to align as you continue to work through this life. Like, that's such a beautiful place to be in. And I want to be someone who shows you what that could look like, right? Like, how embarrassing. 2 years of trying to build businesses. And like, if you've been listening for a while, you've heard the excitement of like, yay, we're going to do it. I'm so excited. And then it just didn't work out. Right? But like, that's what this looks like. That's just the struggle hitting different for someone who didn't have stuff that they could invest so that they didn't take those skin knees growing up. And like, shout out to Maurice who guided me to that skin knees place. He's in one of the business cohorts that I'm in right now. Actually, he leads it. And, you know, he presented that analogy and I've been overusing it since that moment. So thank you, Maurice. Anyways, you can build anything. Some of us, that build is going to look rapid and beautiful and it's all going to be in line, and you're already building off of success that you've already proven to yourself, and so you're going to get there so much faster than some people. But as you're looking out, no matter which end of the spectrum you're on, stay focused on your own deck. The most important thing that you will build is your own deck. Period. And I know that we're supposed to look at competitors and I know that we're supposed to do all that work, but you know better than anyone. And really, that's the only way that we can change this world. If we all show up so divinely committed to figuring out who the other person is and how we compete against them, we can only get so far. Because we're not really willing to break out of what already exists. And I say that to teams that I build all of the time. And I say that to people that I meet with and talk to, like, you know. And when you combine with a team, your combined knowledge can take you to a greater place. But if you're only starting from the base of what exists, and that's the only height that you're kind of building off as an example, and I am all for, like, copy, paste, figure out what you can borrow and use, but then be willing to come up with what it looks like from here, because it should look different. And if it doesn't, if it's just a carbon copy of what the other people did, then you're not pushing yourself enough. And you know, and probably the part that isn't happening is not that you're not pushing yourself, it's probably that you're not trusting and listening to yourself. Because if you've come to this world to change it, which we all have, do not kid yourself, you aren't going to do that by following a pattern that already exists. So if you want to compete, build something worth building, you're gonna have to create a world that probably doesn't already exist. And I think about that a lot as I'm starting to venture onto building my first company. It's like, I don't want to build this for the good of building a company, for the good of myself. I want to build this for the good of other people and for the goodness of building a place that I want to work at, building a corporation that's worth working for, right? Because I acknowledge that not everyone is built to go out and be an entrepreneur and do those things. But like, what does transparent corporating look like? How could we build that? How do we build something that doesn't look like conversations in closed rooms, right? What happens then? What happens is if everyone is responsible for what it looks like to bring this idea to life? What happens if I'm not the only one sitting with that responsibility? What can we build then when we all rise up together with one common focus? And in order to do that, right, we're going to have to mess up what has already been built as a template. There is no template. We're creating the template. We're figuring this out. And because of the individual, unique approach of every single person that walks this planet, we have to bring those people in. And as we build something, right, build with everyone's mind that you can. Find those people. Get rid of those templates that maybe held you back, that maybe put you in a corner. No one puts baby in a corner anymore. Sometimes you have to be willing to keep pushing for what you know is true, and that really is the only way that we create something different. And everyone has a struggle. It's just going to present at different times. Period. And so I just want you to stay so beautifully focused on building yourself, on building and knowing what is true to you. And now in this phase, let's stop questioning it. Right? Maybe we just get rid of asking why our struggle's all coming right now, all at once. I already told you, slingshot, baby. You are about to catapult over every single person who had no struggle at all. Let's just not even question that. And because of that, you will probably maintain that higher height. As long as you don't get lost with ego, and like that's a whole different episode, and we'll get into that later. I don't know, still. But hold on to what you know is good and true, and just trust that struggle hits different for everyone. Your biggest step forward right now is just the first one. As always, You're smart, you're strong, you're beautiful. What are you going to do? Change the world.